So when your brain is not in the right mode because you've been distracted for too long, it's very hard to get back on track. And maybe right now you are on the same struggle as I am or I was. I want to remind you, my friend, the number one thing that can solve the problem and also to help us to start our year strong in 2025, I believe, is to plan. Good morning, good day, my friend. You probably never see me like this. Yes, I don't have any makeup and finished working out or sitting here learning, listening to some inspirational messages, and here I am. Instead of focusing on how I look like, I wanted to focus on serving you today. And this is the thing about me. My daughters always say to me, Mom, you look beautiful the way you are. You don't need makeup. But I always do it just because I want to be perfect. Probably. This is the thing, my friend. No one's perfect. And sometimes we just have different standard about how we should turn up looking like. And I will never wear pajamas when I'm working or something like that. We have different standards. Anyhow, the focus today is not about me. I do really want to come here to serve you. And the thing about that is, my friend, is it's very easy to get to being lazier and more chill for too long. It's like the weed, it's going to take the garden very quickly. I don't know about you, but definitely it applies for me because I'm always very disciplined in my morning routines. But I found it so difficult after the holiday that we had in Vietnam. It's about 4 hours difference compared to Australia. And it becomes so hard for me. Like, I woke up in the morning before, I was like, okay, first thing, pray, give thanks, and read my journal or write my journal, and then I do exercise, and after exercise, I'll do other things as well. But I found now I got up like, oh, what should I do now? What should I do now? And I'm distracted by one thing, two things, three things. So when your brain is not in the right mode because you've been distracted for too long, it's very hard to get back on track. And maybe right now you are on the same struggle as I am or I was. I want to remind you, my friend, the number one thing that can solve the problem and also to help us to start our year strong in 2025, I believe, is to plan. As you can see, I wrote the word here at the back of the board, right here, saying if you don't plan, you plan to fail. I don't know who had this quote, but I heard it from somewhere, and I believe it is true because let me take my day as an example. The days that I planned, it's always like not perfect, but it always turned up. I got things crossed and done and checked. That's really good. But if the day that I don't have any planning or I don't plan for that day, the day flies. And I realized that, oh my gosh, what did I do that day? I didn't feel that sense of achievement or sense of fulfillment. I didn't have many things done either, which is really not good. And I didn't feel good either. So the solution is to plan. How to plan, my friend? The thing that I would do is, of course, you need to know where you're heading to, particularly in the new year. You need to understand more about you, to reflect the whole year that's gone. Like, not just keep being a robot and machine, keep doing what you're doing every day. It's good to be consistent, but it's not good when you are not thinking at all. we need to take lead of our life. And the mistake that I made was the time I just kept going without thinking anything. And then I didn't even know I'm walking to the right direction or not. And this is the thing. Imagine you're right here, and then where you want to go is on your right hand. And on your left hand, there's somewhere you can go, and it looks like the way that you want to go, which is very much like the right hand. So imagine that you still go to the left hand side and you go a little bit more. You did not think because you thought this direction is where you are going and heading to. You didn't spend enough time to ask yourself to understand, or when you walk a little bit, you didn't have time to reflect. Wait a minute, is this the right way or the wrong way? It's the same as right now in your life right now. If you keep going to the left side without thinking, keep going, wow, I'm going further, I'm doing great, that's awesome. But you still haven't achieved what you want to achieve, and you don't feel that you're on the right track, but you still keep going. Instead of changing, instead of reflecting or sitting down and to think about it, which might cost you a little bit more energy and time at that sport, but then it's going to save you so much time, because if you go the wrong direction, if you go too far, if you want to come back, it becomes harder. And instead, if right now you're here and you go into the left hand, which is the wrong direction, but, oh, wait a minute, it doesn't seem right. And you come back quickly enough, the quicker the possible, then you turn right and you go back and back and back. At least you come back to this point, and then you find the right way to go. And sometimes we're too cautious about everything, which is not good. You rather just try this way, it doesn't work. Okay, come back. This way doesn't work. Come back, come back. Okay, now this way is working. Keep going, keep going, keep going, and you'll get there as soon as possible. And that is why planning is so important, because as we said here, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. You should plan, because when you plan, what will happen is you know what time you're doing what. Some days I know the change happens more than what you want to plan, particularly for those who are parents, who need to pick up and drop off kids, particularly for those who might have a sick kids at home that day. We still can survive. That is why when you plan, you need to learn how to plan properly and to allow some unexpected situations happen, but don't allow it all the time, because things that you can control, you should control. The funny thing is, when we start planning, we all think it's like, it never really works. It didn't work before, and things just happen. And what's the point of planning? What's the point? There is a point, my friend. If you don't plan, you're planning to fail, because the day is going to lead you rather than you lead the day. And we can talk about now how to plan properly. To plan properly, here are the things I'm usually doing. One thing you need to understand is, as we just mentioned at the beginning, it is so easy to get distracted and stay out of focus throughout our day. Because let's be honest, we are living in a very busy, noisy world, and everything comes so quickly. We have the instant gratification problem, and it's just so hard to just stay there and do one thing for hours and hours. It's kind of like impossible, which is why if we don't plan properly, if we don't put our mind in a peaceful mind and think about, okay, so what I really need to do today and what really matters to me. I have made so many mistakes that there are days I do so many things, but I realized that the things I was doing is not even related to the most important thing that I need to do. Like, for example, as an entrepreneur, your goal is to make sales. Well, make sales, like you need to connect with your clients, you need to talk to them, you need to communicate with them, right? But there were days like I realized I've done a lot of work talking to my team and done all the SOP, done all of lot of things internally, and then there's nothing happening externally at all, and the clients are not even heard from us. They did not even got that greetings and thankful message, whatever things from us. And that is why when your business is not growing, that means you haven't been talking to enough people, you haven't made enough calls and made enough conversations. And this is one of the things you can put into your plan is that, wait a minute, if your focus is it's sales, is to generate more sales for the company, then you need to put that as your first priority every day, that you need to make sales. It's so important to stay focused for the first thing first. And then there is a great tip that I've learned, and is if there's only one thing you can do that day, because there are so many things on your to-do list, you need to keep asking yourself that question. What would that thing be? Well, it doesn't mean you really only need to do one thing per day, which is unrealistic. But when you ask that question, it helps you to have the clarity and like, oh, wow, that's true. That's something I need to focus the most right now. And it will help you then to turn your eyes on the things that you need to focus on. This is number one tip that I can share with you. And number two tip is when you do the planning, my friend, like for me, I have always 20 items on the to-do list not 20, like something like 10 to 20 of depends. And sometimes I have to do that. And okay, it's not realistic. I can't do this 20 things this day, but I can then highlight the priorities for today, and then this can go to tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and so on and so forth. But the thing is, how I do that is when you plan this, right? There's an important thing that we need to remember. And this thing is usually ignored. Like you do so fancy plans on your diary, on your notebook, but then you completely forget that there's a deadline. If you say, okay, I'm going to do this, right? You can put doing this. This will be sitting there forever. The thing is, as human being, we all have the same problem, and that is procrastination. You might say to me, Christine, I don't have that problem. I'm perfect. I always honor my timeline, always, and never. These words, they're always lying. Well, none of us is always, none of us is never. We all done things like, we all lied before. Sometimes it's intentionally, sometimes it's not. And when you say never, usually it's really a lie. What I'm trying to say here, my friend, is if you don't set up a deadline there, you're never gonna get it done sometimes. I'm not saying about every item, but there are items that you try to avoid it because you don't feel like it, you don't want to do it, and that at the back of your head is telling you you don't need to do that. It's okay, it's not important. And then why did you even bother to put on there? If you put on there, you need to be serious. You need to honor that timeline, honor that deadline, and that's going to help you build up your confidence and discipline to then do more and set up more goals, and you can keep hitting the plans and cross things from the list. I'm not saying you have to do every single thing on the list, which is perfect world. Some days I did. Honestly, I did, but probably it's 30% or 50% of the time I could really get everything on the list done because there are things unexpected happen in the day. But the key is you need to set up the very reasonable deadline and you need to honor that deadline because that's where the magic happens. If you honor the deadline, you'll find out your power. You're so good at it and you can do so much more than you imagine because you honor the timeline. And the next tip about planning is that you should understand our number one biggest asset and precious thing is our time. And if we don't plan for things, our time will be gone and you feel like, oh my gosh, my life is going so fast, but I really haven't planned many things and I don't know where I'm heading to. It's like let me give you an example. When we on the weekend, when as a family, sometimes we planned, which is great. So we know where we're heading to, and the weekend was so full of joy, fulfillment, because we know that we are going there, and we know the purpose we're going there is to have fun somewhere we're going. But the day that we don't plan anything, we sit there and the time really runs quickly, right? And the third thing I want to share here, except for the importance of planning, which I already mentioned at the beginning, it is also aligned with the financial part. I mean, if you don't plan for your goal, like where you're heading to in your business or in your personal life, and it's gonna be a big problem, my friend. Because if you don't manage your money will manage you, and you're gonna be enslaved by money. You're gonna be enslaved by things that come up. Like if that someone said to you, "Hey, come here," and then other person said, "Come here, do this and do that," you'd be like, "Oh yes, oh wow, business opportunities. Wow, I cannot say no to anything." You end up being crazy. You end up being so busy and like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed. The word overwhelming probably comes from there because you don't know how to say no, you don't know where you're heading to, you didn't even have time to reflect. So the next thing I want to share is, this is a mistake that I've made when I plan. I usually just plan for my company goals and my day with work and everything. I completely forgot about my family, my kids, and the time that I need to spend to cook, to prepare for dinner, and things like that. Sometimes I do put that time there, but like the time I put in there is really unrealistic. I just say 30 minutes I'm gonna cook dinner, and then another hour, 30 minutes we're gonna have dinner together. But I completely forget about the time I need to spend with my kids and the quality time I need to spend with my kids and also my husband. And this is the thing, my friend, if you ignore that part, if you are not taking lead on that part, you know what happened? It will actually come back to you, and the victim will be you. Why? Because you cannot not include your family into the plan list, because they are existing, they are in your life. And as an entrepreneur, I do understand how busy we are, how much work we need to do, and how focused when we come to work and we just want to get more and more things done. And when these clients who ask for meetings, we just say yes, 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 it's all opportunities. We want it, we want it. But it's never ending, it's never enough, my friend. Which is why to plan your family into the plan list is a must. In fact, it is more important than you just plan your day with work and anything else. Because that's where you get more fulfilled. Let's be honest, why you're working? Is you're working for yourself, really? Or there's other things behind it too? It is your family. And part of the reason you're working and the purpose that you're working, you want to create a better future, is not just for yourself, it's also for your family. If you agree with me, my friend, remember when you do planning, put your family back to the list and insert them in there. What I remember is whenever I plan the time I spend with them, sometimes it doesn't need to be very long. 30 minutes is already great. An hour, it's perfect. You know, if it's longer than an hour, sometimes it becomes worse. Why? And then they feel bored because you like there's nothing else they want to play with you. They feel enough. 1 hour is great, short and sweet. They love it. So remember to plan your family time with kids, with your spouse, because that's where magic lies as well. When you have that part, your foundation is solid, it's going to also bring a lot of success and make your business thriving because they are all part of your life. So the next tip I want to share as planning is you need to plan not just for per day. You also need to think about per week, per month, and per year. Usually we start from the biggest goal, from the per year, and then you come down, break down to week and day. Because the thing is, if you don't know your big direction, you just start with all the small things. As I said before, that's a mistake I've made. I've been planning so many things I want to do in a day, but then I realized, oh my gosh, these are not aligned to my big goals at all. And then no doubt I didn't get enough results, or nothing's really aligned with a big direction. And that's why, my friend, don't make the mistake as I did. Focus starting with a yearly goal. What do you want? Why do you want it? And so on and so forth. I'm going to produce another video about this part to ask and discover what you truly want, so that it help you to find out the best for you as in the plan. But the key here is you plan from the yearly goal and then down to the quarterly, monthly, weekly, and then to the daily. That will, like, you're gonna have a whole picture in your mind and see, wow, this is what I'm doing and where I'm heading to. You won't be confused. You have the whole clarity. Clarity matters. When you have clarity, you have more confidence, you have more power, motivation, and you can do things better. Okay, my friend, thank you so much for listening. And I hope this serves you and this can help you to start your year strong in 2025, to have a great planning for your year and achieve great success as well. I'll come back to produce another video talking about how to do the self-discovery and to find out what truly matters to you that can help yourself to be more authentic and to honor your heart and to align with your mind, your soul, and your heart as well. If you like this content, this video, subscribe our channel. Thank you so much for your support. I'm Christy. I can't wait to see you again next time. Bye.